Well, Montana's primary election is right around the corner. And with each election comes a new wave of first-time voters. Stan Parker sat down with 9 young voters to discover what's on their minds as they forge their emerging political identities.
To vote is to come of age.
I feel empowered to be able to vote.
Pressure to make the right decision.
I'm excited. I've been pretty involved with politics my whole life, and now it feels like I can actually do something about it rather than just share my opinion.
It's a milestone that comes with a range of emotion.
Mostly just excitement to have a part to play in politics in the state of Montana.
Nervous because I want to pick the right person.
I'm pretty excited just because there's a lot of issues that I've been passionate about for a while, and I'm excited to have a voice on those outside of activism.
Honestly, I have some pretty hard feelings about voting for the first time. I don't think I will vote because I don't know a lot and I'm not very educated on it. I kind of shut myself out of that because I see what politics can do to people.
To get a sense for what's on young voters' minds, we invited 9 first-time voters, seniors and a recent graduate from 2 public high schools in the heart of Billings, to share their views on elections, voting, and political identity.
These are all the races that voters in Yellowstone County are going to get a chance to weigh in on this election. Are there any races on there that you've never heard of?
Soil conservation district supervisor.
Yeah, I didn't know that was on the ballot either.
While young voters typically turn out in smaller numbers than their more seasoned counterparts, the insight they offer is a window to the future. The ways their concerns differ from their elders offer clues to the shifting priorities of an ever-evolving electorate. But before they get a chance to weigh in on those priorities, the first choice posed to them is one about their political party. Deciding whether to vote in the Republican primary or the Democratic one is not a straightforward decision for those still shaping their political identities.
During the primary election, which is the first opportunity to vote, the first choice you'll have to make is which party's primary to vote in. So under our current system, if you want to fully participate in the process, you have to make a decision about political party before making a decision about any candidates or issues. And as first-time voters, I'm just curious how you feel about that setup.
I feel like it's so unfair. I have never had an opportunity to vote in my life, and I'm just now learning about it, and you want to force me into identifying myself as something that I'm not even totally sure what I identify as.
Yeah. What about you?
I don't like that idea just because there are times when I feel like I could go both ways, and I would like the opportunity to pick which candidate on both sides I would like to choose between eventually. And by limiting myself, it feels wrong, I guess.
Come November, I have a feeling that I'm going to end up having a split ticket, and I want to be able to vote in both. I agree that it's important to be able to see, okay, who's the top performer in each party so that we can have, those 2 main at the end. But I want to be able to vote for both of them. I want to be able to say, okay, in the Republicans, this is who I think could be the best. In the Democrats, this is who I think could be the best.
We had to play a little musical chairs to give everyone a chance in the hot seat.
If Nikki Haley was still in the race, my urge was to register as a Republican and vote for Nikki Haley just because I do not want to see Trump on my election ballot. And so I feel like that. If I had the urge to game the system, I'm sure a lot of other people did too. Maybe that's not the best thing to do. I would have preferred to just see everyone's name on my ballot.
I think that's a perfectly valid reason and way to use your vote. I don't know, I just think that you should be able to use your vote how you want, and if that is against a candidate rather than for another candidate, then I think that is completely valid.
I think that it should all just be on one piece of paper for you to choose from then, because then you don't necessarily have to choose between one or another rather than just following through with what you believe in rather than having to go through one party or another.
Feelings of still forming a political identity were a common theme, and it makes sense why picking a primary ballot is a complicated choice for this group.
Do you feel like you identify with a certain political party, and why or why not?
I used to think I did, but I don't necessarily do anymore. I don't know. I'm just trying to get all the different viewpoints from all different aspects and trying to compile my own thoughts with all that. So I don't necessarily take to one side or another.
I would probably say that I would fit more into a Democratic viewpoint, but I don't know. It's really hard to say anymore.
Riddick, do you feel like you identify with a certain political party, and why or why not?
As of right now, no, just because I'm still trying to learn what the difference is between the two and figure out what the big difference is.
Even for those feeling closer alignment to a party, there's still some reluctance to go all in.
Yeah, I definitely identify with the Democratic Party. Not on everything, but on the things that matter to me.
I think for the most part, yes, I think like my values align pretty closely with the Democratic Party, but I think that, I don't know, it just depends. I think I'm not 100% anything.
I definitely align with one, but I wouldn't say that I identify with them just because I want to be open to voting on both ways in any election, because I feel like we need to vote for like the better leader for everybody, not just like how we always feel about a political party.
I think when I look at my values as a person, I definitely would be a part of more of like the Republican Party, but I also say that in a sense of like, I feel very moderate about things like, you know, I'm pro-life, so that's a big Republican ideal, but also I feel very strongly about immigration and allowing people into our country, which is a very Democratic or Democrat ideal. So I definitely would say probably Republican, but more in that moderate sense.
Part of this hesitation may be explained by the impressions the parties have left on them.
Chloe, what are your opinions about political parties?
I think it's like kind of a necessary evil, but also it's just hard to know that if you say you're some way, that some people will just completely discount you. Like, that's hard for me. And I don't know. I think people should be a little more open-minded and not just stick to one belief. I think they should pick what's best from them in the moment and not just be a lifelong Democrat, Republican, whatever.
So divisive. I think they really just tear people apart. I mean, you see over and over, like, I have family members that, like, are so to one side that they, like, just, like, or get mad at you for, like, being slightly to the other side. And I think that is, I think it's harmful, but I also think that they really serve as a great way to connect people to politics, right?
I do think that they are necessary to the way that our government functions and like getting the nominations for candidates and all that. But I don't necessarily agree with them. I think that they've become very polarized and have really divided our country.
I think having a three-party system would be much better, because I think we need more like choices when it comes to voting, because it seems like at least recently it's been voting for the lesser of two evils and voting for what people really want to vote for.
They do definitely have their use, but at the end of the day, I honestly kind of hate that we have political parties. Like, you know, George Washington warned us against having political parties, and I very much so agree with that warning, because I feel that if we didn't have them, we'd have more sense of unity within the country.
These misgivings about political parties are consistent with nationwide trends. The Pew Research Center says the number of Americans with unfavorable views of both parties is at an all-time high, with voters under 30 most likely to feel that way. It's no wonder the number of Americans identifying as independent has risen over the last 20 years, from 31% in 2004 to 43% in 2023, according to Gallup. Democrats and Republicans now sit at 27% each. These trends could indicate a seismic shift somewhere on the horizon, but for now, political parties remain a fact of American politics. They're the entities most poised to move the needle on the issues these young voters care about.
Well, what issues are most important to you?
Women's rights and stuff like that, that's something that's really important to me. Partially, obviously, because I'm a woman, but also just because women deserve to have a say in what they want to do with their body. I also care about the planet.
I would definitely have to say rights as well.
I'm very pro-choice, and I have been since I could like conceptualize that situation. I'm also care a lot about climate change.
I've been thinking a lot about like the mill levy and like education funding. I think that's a super big deal. I also think climate change is a huge thing that I'm pretty focused on. So
I think that housing is going to be a big importance to at least my generation, because of the housing market right now it's almost unaffordable to own a home, and that everyone that's graduating or in my situation, like, we don't know how we're going to be able to live for the next 10, 20 years.
abortion is a really big one for me. I personally am pro-life, so it's a really big thing for me when it comes to voting. And then immigration, I come from a family of immigrants, so I feel very strongly about it.
Time will tell how their priorities shift over time, and how new influences play a role in shaping their views.
What are your biggest influences in creating your own political views?
Honestly, I'd say I only have one influence, and that's going to be my faith.
I don't know whether or not I would be influenced, but if I was, it would definitely be my dad. I trust my dad with my whole heart.
I think that school has actually been a really big influence on me, just because I've been exposed to so many other people that have such different backgrounds than I do, and I've gotten the opportunity to read a bunch of books and things that I probably wouldn't have picked up, and it's really opened my eyes and opened me up to new perspectives.
I think my family has had the biggest influence on me, even though my parents always tell me you can vote either way and kind of make your own choices. I think definitely just talking with them at the dinner table and watching TV with them, I've adopted pretty close to their ideology. But one group that I don't think has any influence on it that I thought would was my friends, because many of my friends have different political beliefs than I do, and I feel that's really strange that I would kind of slowly over time follow their beliefs too, or at least have kind of meet in the middle.
It's yet to be seen how these new voters, and the rest of their Gen Z cohort, will ultimately influence the direction of the country, the state, and their communities. They won't be young voters forever. The future is theirs for the making. For Impact, I'm Stan Parker.
Mail-in ballots go out on May 10th, and Montana's primary election will be held on June 4th.